Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Todd. This is Todd. For today's video, I have decided to do stuffed shells. For this recipe, you are going to need about 30 large jumbo shells, and this is just Walmart's brand. You're also going to need about 15 to 20 ounces worth of ricotta cheese. I typically use my homemade tomato sauce, but this brand right here, LiQWYD, is the next best thing. You're going to need 2 large eggs, some pepper, whole milk, low moisture mozzarella, some fresh Parmesan. You're also going to need about 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. I have 3 here because 2 of them are kind of small. And fresh parsley. For this, I'm just using some Italian herbs, which has oregano, parsley, basil, and all that stuff. Now you're going to need about 150 grams or 5 to 6 ounces of the mozzarella, and you're going to need about 35 grams or 3 ounces of the fresh Parmesan to go into the shells, and maybe about another ounce or so to put on top of the shells when they come out of the oven. You are going to want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius or about 375 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. You're also going to want to get a heavily salted pot of water to come up to boil, as you're going to want to boil these partially. I am going to go ahead and add this tomato sauce into a small pot and get my cheese grated up and everything off the camera, and I will be right back. Okay, so I am back. I got my cheese grated here. My tomato sauce is simmering in a small pot. My shells are boiling, and those you're going to want to go ahead and cook for about 3/4 of the packaged cook time. So in my case, I'm going to just go ahead and deduct like 3 or 4 minutes off of the 10 to 12 minutes the package states. So I went ahead and did up 8 ounces of my whole milk mozzarella, and right here is what I used to grate my Parmesan, which is just an attachment for my KitchenAid, or part of the attachment, and this is just the extra part that did not get grated, and I'm going to go ahead and dump that into my pasta sauce. And then just put this in my sink. And I'm going to just go ahead and give my pasta sauce a quick stir right quick. I don't want anything to stick and burn. And I am going to go ahead and just lower my heat a little more. I'm keeping this at about right in between like medium low. It's not quite medium low yet, but I'm going to go ahead and add in my herbs here, and I'm just going to add in maybe a pinch like that. Just put that aside. I'm going to go ahead and add in my ricotta cheese. And like I said, I'm probably going to use about half of this. So probably right about there should be enough. And go ahead and set this aside. I went ahead and just grated up that entire thing, so it was about maybe 6 ounces worth. So I'm going to go ahead and put a good handful, probably a little more than that. Right about there. And I'm probably going to have extra sauce left over anyways, so I will probably make like spaghetti or something with that sometime this week. So that extra grated Parmesan will most likely go towards like garlic bread or something. Just went ahead and gave my sauce another stir. And now I'm going to go ahead and crack in my 2 eggs. And I'm going to use my garlic press to crush this in. Okay, so I had to pause it for a minute. But my shells are now done, and I got those sitting in ice cold water, or just cold tap water that I let run for a minute or so. And I'm going to go ahead and get these peeled, and I will be right back. Okay, so I got those peeled, and I'm just going to go ahead and crush those in, and grab my paring knife, and just go ahead and scrape that off, like that. Set this aside. And now, I've already washed my hands. And, oh, one more thing. I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. Just eye it. No real exact measurements here. It's probably about half a teaspoon. Somewhere in between a quarter and half a teaspoon. Now I'm going to go ahead and just mix by hand. Start off by just breaking the eggs here. And I'm just going to go ahead and mix all of this together. And if you are going to self-grate your cheese and not opt for the pre-grated store-bought stuff, you can do that at whatever size you want. So if you want it to be coarsely grated, you can do coarsely grated. You can do a fine grate. Mine was like somewhere around a medium fine grate. So this right here is pretty good. It don't really take long. If you don't want to get your hand dirty, you can probably throw on a glove or something. I'm going to go ahead and try and get all this off my hand right quick. And I'm going to go ahead and get everything situated and moved around. Okay, so I have a 9x9 square cake pan here, and my sauce is done at this point. It's thickened up enough that it's starting to splatter everywhere, which I hate. But now I'm going to go ahead and just take a ladle, and I'm going to put in enough to just cover the bottom here, and enough for it to come up and over the sides a little bit. Now this sauce, I have not added anything. This is exactly how it was out of the jar. And it does look homemade. It has fresh basil and garlic. The white chunks there, just some of the excess Parmesan that hasn't really completely melted. But like, this is some of the best sauce ever. It's literally just peeled tomatoes, olive oil, onions, basil, salt, garlic, black pepper, and oregano. Some of the best sauce. It's kind of pricey. It's like $6.25 where I'm at. So now my shells, I'm going to go ahead and drain out of the cold water. And those are drained. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure all the water is out of the shells. And if you want to go ahead and just boil the whole thing, you can go ahead and do that. But this right here is going to be a no-go. So you're going to want to have extra in case things like that happen. Now, I tried to sort through them to find ones like that and not use those, but sometimes you can't really get what you want. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab a handful, and that once you get a couple done, you will get the hang of it. But I'm going to go ahead and just stuff these the best that I can. This one is kind of torn, but it will work. And I'm going to go ahead and just drop it in there like that. And these ones right here are probably some of my favorite ones. They're already open. You don't got to worry about trying to hold it open with one hand and stuff everything in. And you also might notice that you will have some extra of the filling. I try to fill as much as I can get in there, but then afterwards I'll go through and probably just put a little extra filling on the tops of the shells. But There has been a couple times where I haven't had enough filling, but this right here is also another one of them good dishes that you could make up a whole bunch in aluminum trays or glass trays or whatever and throw in the freezer for a quick meal if you don't feel like cooking a home-cooked meal or something. And for a side, you can go ahead and do if you'd want to, a garlic bread. But for this tonight, I'm not going to do garlic bread. I will probably do garlic bread here in a night or two. So for this one, I'm probably going to go with maybe, I don't know, maybe roasted Brussels sprouts or something. Something that would go well with it. But I'm thinking of doing some roasted Brussels sprouts, which I will just cut in half and toss in some olive oil and a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, maybe a little bit of fresh crushed garlic or something. I'm not really a fan of garlic powder anymore. It just doesn't taste good to me. But that is what I'm going to have for dinner tonight. Stuffed shells and roasted Brussels sprouts with garlic. And then tomorrow night, since tonight's a Friday, or Sunday night before I go into work, I'll probably make a little bit of spaghetti, and then I will probably make a video on how I make my garlic bread. I don't remember if I did one or not, but it looks like I'm going to have just about enough of the filling for all of the shells to fill this, so it's pretty much spot on this. But there's that. And I might drizzle a little more sauce on top, but this is probably maybe one more shell's worth of filling. I'm not going to really try and scrape it out of here or anything. Okay, so I am back now. I got that all rinsed out. My hands are washed now. I'm going to go ahead and give the sauce just a quick stir here. I'm not really going to smother the top of this or anything. I'm just going to drizzle it over the top a little. Just like that. And that right there should be enough. Now I'm going to go ahead and just grab my salt shaker, since the only salt in this is in the cheese and the sauce and everything. I'm not going to put much, just kind of just go over it with the salt shaker a little bit. Just like that. That's enough. And now I'm going to go ahead and take some of that extra reserved Parmesan. I typically don't do this, but I'm just doing it for the sake of it. Just sprinkle some on top. And now I'm going to go grab some aluminum foil, cover this, put it in my preheated oven, and bake for 15 minutes. And if you are making this in advance, you can go ahead and just pull it out of the freezer, put foil on top of it, put it in the oven for about 45 minutes, frozen. Okay, so I got this all wrapped up and it's ready to go into the oven, but before that I'm going to go ahead and do my Brussels sprouts to go with this tonight. Okay, so I got my cutting board over and my Brussels sprouts in a bowl here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just barely trim off the end. Just like that. Just barely trim it off. And then I am going to, any leaves that fall off, get rid of. Then I'm going to just split them in half lengthwise, like that. And then, just like that, rinse and repeat for all of these. That right there is good enough. I got a couple more in the fridge too, so grab my olive oil, just drizzle it on, kind of want to go liberally. You want to cover it quite a bit. You're not going to, all the excess oil is not going to go in, so I'm going to just toss these to coat like that, and I'm going to go ahead and grab some aluminum foil, cover a cookie sheet. Okay, so I got the tray here for my convection toaster oven out here, and I'm going to go ahead and just pick these out individually. I don't want that excess oil. Put these face side down, and I'm going to go with just simple salt and pepper. I'm not going to do anything too fancy, so just put it on each individual one. And I am not going to salt the other side, so this right here is all it's going to get. So, okay, so now that this is all done and everything, my stuffed shells, which I have sitting on my stove, I'm going to go ahead and put those in the oven. And those are going to cook for 15 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius, or about 375 to 400, somewhere in there. These I'm going to put in my convection toaster oven, and those are going to go in there for about 15 minutes too. So these might come out first, I'm not sure. But the stuffed shells are going to go in there for the 15 minutes. Then after that I'm going to remove the foil, put them under the broiler for a couple of minutes, or if you're in the UK, they call it the grill. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop this right here, and I will bring you back when everything is pretty much done. Okay, so I put these in the broiler after they cooked for the 15 minutes. I probably did it maybe 17 minutes, something like that. But you're going to want to cook them for about 15 to 18 minutes, and then you're going to want to go ahead and remove the foil, and then put it under the broiler for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. I stopped at around 4 minutes. So I did put Parmesan on top before I put it in the oven, but I'm going to go ahead and just add a little more. I really love Parmesan, so, and plus this will add a little extra salt too, since there really wasn't much in there. And my Brussels sprouts came out a little bit before my stuffed shells did. They are not really burnt. They're actually exactly how I like them. Went ahead and roasted those for about half of the time, and then I went ahead and closed it up so it's not getting hit by the hot air anymore, and they finished cooking just fine like that. So this is what this looks like, and since everything is done at this point, I am going to go ahead and just wrap this video up. So thank you very much for watching. If you really enjoyed watching this video, go ahead and make sure to smash that like button. If you enjoy my videos, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when I upload another video, go ahead and smash that bell right next to the subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching, and I hope you continue to come along with me on this journey of mine.